This is a stacked card. Now, let's get to the main event of the evening. Khamzat Chimaev taking on Sean Strickland. Now, this is one we've all been waiting for. And the thing that Sean Strickland does have is he does have great takedown defense, which is kind of crazy because he stands right up like a Christmas tree. And then when you look at Khamzat Chimaev, he tends to go out there and shoot his takedown from 16 miles away, but he's able to land it and out-grapple people. When you fight DDP, you rely on a takedown, You got takedown. When he got to crucifix position, he wasn't able to land that significant shot to put him out, right? And he didn't use his grappling. He's got to make sure when he gets there, he's got to flip the mindset. Instead of ground and pound him, I can end this fight with just a submission. Now, with all that being said, for Khamzat Chimaev taking on Sean Strickland, I'm gonna have to go with Khamzat Chimaev.
Khamzat versus Strickland, bad blood. If you talk about top 5 UFC fights of all time where the guys have serious hatred between them, I'd put this at number 2 behind Conor and Khabib. And the only reason I'd take Conor and Khabib over it was what happened over in Brooklyn leading up to that fight. And it should be a good one, man. 2 of the best guys in the world don't like each other. Should be a great night. And the co-main event's awesome.
It's finally here. Khamzat Chimaev defending the belt against Sean Strickland. A fight where a lot of people said that this fight's not going to happen. It's not going to make it to the octagon. There's too much drama. There's too much beef. Oh my God, this is crazy. We're going to need extra security. Sean Strickland going around saying, listen, if the guy wants to come and see me, I've got plenty of guns.
But if you come up to me with 3 Chechens that don't speak English, I'm going to pull my gun and I'm going to each and every one of you.
Khamzat Chimaev and his whole Chechen mafia crew apparently hunting down Sean Strickland. Listen, there's a lot of backstory. There's a lot of beef. But I tell you what, there is also a tremendous fight going down this Saturday. And let me tell you, if Sean Strickland can't get it done against Khamzat Chimaev, I don't think anyone in the middleweight division anytime soon is going to be taking that belt off Khamzat Chimaev. Now, we know that they used to train with one another. Khamzat Chimaev told me to my face that he choked him out multiple times. And we know that whole bit where Sean Strickland went up to him and said, listen, you got to take it easy. You got to take it easy. You're so much better than all these guys.
Be nice. Gum is up. Understand, you're better than everybody. So just don't hurt people.
That's all well and good.
It's not always about the heaviest hitter.
It's not about the heaviest hitter, Luke. No,
Strickland is effective. He doesn't hit that hard.
It's not about the heavy hitters. But what I'm saying is, when it comes to striking and the problem of striking, look at what happened with Strickland and DDP. Right? Look at what happened with Khamzat and DDP. 2 different fights. Completely different. So it's not like he has much to worry about, like really getting hit hard from Strickland. If Strickland can get up, cool, but you can only get up a certain amount of times. But Strickland is not going to put his lights out at all. So for the only possibility that leaves is Khamzat's just going to dominate this guy. We're going to go home saying this is exactly.
Yeah. What about, the stuff that Sean is saying? I've heard some comments from you about Sean. You don't seem to be a big fan of his. How do you feel about the things that he's been saying about your friend?
I haven't followed everything he said. That's not who I try to follow. But Sean is truly a piece of shit, and everyone has an opinion. But you get down, and I didn't even know who Sean was when he first rolled in to our training camp. He showed up on our doorstep, and he was just a loud idiot. And he was trying to beat up kids that were helping him and trying to knock him out consistently after he already hurt him. And he's just not. He's not one of those guys you want to. I like to be around. And many people. I mean, he's just not a good person.
With the weekend approaching, the hype surrounding the clash between Khamzat Chimaev and Sean Strickland seems to be at an all-time high. This match is not just any other fight. It is a meeting between 2 fighters who are bound to bring immense aggression and intimidation to the ring. The experts are divided on who will come out victorious, and all eyes are set on seeing who caves in first.
But man strength, Sean Strickland's been training a long time. He's been training with elite people in the UFC for a long time. Sean Strickland has been around. He's got 30 wins, 12 KOs, 4 submissions, 14 decisions, 7 losses. Right now, he's 2-2 in his last 4. Now, his last fight with Anthony Hernandez, that's what we're going to get into here in a bit. February 21st went down. And remember, Fluffy was on a 7-fight win streak in the middleweight division. Sean Strickland TKO'd him in the 3rd round. He's taking on the Freak Show. He's taking on the absolute freak show, one of the scariest champions alive that there's ever been. I do believe that. Khamzat, 32 years old, in his absolute prime. The guy's huge. I mean, 6'2", he's giant. I don't even know how he even got close to making welterweight in the past. I don't think he even made welterweight.
As Michael Bisping notes, Chimaev is the epitome of a force that simply can't be stopped with top-tier wrestling ability, knockouts for days, and a stamina level that seems to have been elevated by Chimaev's recent camp. However, there is one crucial detail that must not be forgotten. While much of Chimaev's dominance in his last bout against Dricus du Plessis was based on positional control and finishing attempts, it certainly wasn't built around exchanges in the standing position for several rounds, which would likely take a toll on anyone. However, that's exactly what Strickland is ready to do should the former undefeated welterweight champion succeed in stopping Chimaev's takedowns.
Now we know Khamzat is a force of nature. The wrestling is ridiculous. The power in the hands is phenomenal. The gas tank seems to have been solved, okay? Against Dricus, he went 5 rounds. However, caveat, he took down Dricus and he led on top of Dricus. I'm not saying he led on top of him just stalling. He was trying to finish. He was looking for submissions. He was putting him in a crucifix and trying to drop little elbows, and Dricus was burying his head and stuff like that. That kind of pace, though, where you're stifling someone on top, is not the same as being on the feet and engaging in a war 4 or 5 rounds. They're two very, very different things. And Sean Strickland, if he has the ability to stop the takedowns, which, by the way, he is very confident that he will.
In this vein, Bisping mentions one simple but vital point. If Chimaev does not end the bout early, then momentum may swing in another direction. The early rounds are crucial. Emotion plays an important role for both boxers, and it can provide a thrilling beginning but cause exhaustion too. Chimaev has showcased himself to be able to end bouts quickly and effectively. However, when facing a stronger adversary such as Kamaru Usman or Gilbert Burns, he was slower towards the end.
Well, if he can survive the first round or two, and it's such a cliched expression, but if Sean can survive the first round or two, never mind any of the emotions, or if he goes out there and doesn't fight on emotion, Strickland's always emotional. Khamzat's always emotional, and Khamzat's had some devastating performances, whether it was knocking out people with one shot, whether it was picking up Li Jingliang and having a conversation with Dana White saying, I'm going to kill everybody, or whatever it was.
I come here for everybody, kill everybody.
Or fighting Kamaru Usman and Gilbert Burns and slowing down dramatically, right? They weren't phenomenal performances, but the other ones were. But that did show a weakness, a perceived.
As per Chael Sonnen, the so-called animosity between Chimaev and Strickland could have been fabricated. Fast forward to when both young men trained at Extreme Couture, there were no signs of any animosity at all, only 2 athletes sharing a gym. There was nothing but camaraderie, cooperation, and a shared desire to get better in their respective fields. It was only when the book on this chapter came to an end that a new story began.
These guys have talked themselves into something. I mean, these guys have talked themselves and convinced themselves that they are rivals, that they have a feud. But if we back this up to its genesis, which is Extreme Couture in the practice room, Chimaev at 24 years old, getting brought in and getting workouts. Sean is at that same gym, same practice time. In fact, I think that Sean was the one running the workouts. Eric Nixick was the head coach, but the specific class that Chimaev was coming to, I believe that Sean was the one that actually ran that class. Either way, there was no feud between them. They didn't have to be separated. They weren't just great workout partners that loved training together or were upset if a guy wasn't there, or the opposite. Right? There really wasn't a lot on it. And one day, Chimaev.
Then Sonnen shows us how this fight in particular is based on chance rather than rivalry. Strickland is currently the top contender, and Chimaev wears the belt taken from the very same man who beat Strickland before. It makes sense in terms of competitiveness, but not of personal rivalry. As far as Sonnen is concerned, there was no chance for Strickland and Chimaev to meet in a rivalry situation because of hate, vendettas, and any sort of unfinished business. Their encounter is purely due to the way things lined up for them both ranking-wise.
Finally got, okay, Sean Strickland is now the #1 contender. By the way, Chimaev is the champion. Chimaev got the belt from the guy that took the belt from Sean Strickland. We got a nice little round robin, and competition says these two have to match up. And that's how we got here. We didn't get here because of some kind of hate or hostility. We didn't get here because of some grudge. Something that wasn't buried and put behind us in the past. None of those things happened. So when we talk about we can't face these guys off, is the grudge really that big? Was the feud really that big? They used to train together. They agreed to fight 3 years ago. The fight didn't happen. They don't train together anymore. Here they are back fighting.
Whereas Khalil Rountree Jr. asserts that the mentality of the camp has never wavered since day one and that this has always been just about preparation. According to him, Khamzat has remained committed to his objective without getting sidetracked in any way from the main objective, which involves becoming a champion and holding the title as the best. It does not matter whether the fighter has moved from one opponent to another. He believes that his preparation for the fight has not been compromised. From his point of view, everything is set and ready on fight day.
Khalil, about the camp and what do you think is going to happen at the fight, and then I'll do the same with you, Luke.
Look, since day one, this fight was never about Strickland. Khamzat's been here, hasn't missed a day of training. Doesn't matter what's going on. Yeah, 2 days. Nothing else matters to him in this moment in his life than to be fighting and to be a champion and to make money. And so nothing has strayed him from that. He's been doing this since February. You know, it was supposed to be Yuri first. Now it's Strickland. It doesn't matter. He's going in there to dominate. I can't wait to see it. All the hard work that he's put in, all the hard work that the team.
In the case of Luke Rockhold, the main point he takes away from camp is that the match is anything but straightforward for anyone involved. While Chimaev presents a threat wherever he goes, he stresses that the real difficulty will arise when everything does not work as intended during groundwork. It seems that Strickland always has another chance to recover and get back into the fight with fresh momentum. As Rockhold puts it, Chimaev cannot afford to be too eager about finishing the fight, as he may end up missing an important detail in Strickland's easygoing and crafty approach.
Thank you for that, but what's your biggest takeaway of the camp?
Khamzat's good. He's good everywhere. It's just like this fight, it's going to be tough because he has an ability to get up. You know, and if Khamzat can implement some damage on the ground and not really commit to his grips on top, you know, he stays back. You got to get on the hips and put a couple shots on him. Sean's going to probably be able to get up here and there, you know, and Khamzat can't put too much, like load up too much and put too much pressure on trying to go for it, kill, because his relaxed hit, he's so relaxed and he gets off little shots, and these little shots can hurt. So if he gets back to the feet and he can relax and just wait for an opportunity to get another takedown or get some good striking in and not loading up, and
Additionally, Rockhold is uncertain that such remarks towards Chimaev may have been made entirely in good faith or were partially intended to mess with his head. Based on his personal experience, he says that it was relatively easy to differentiate between someone saying things sincerely and someone creating uncertainty. In his opinion, it is somewhat a combination of both. On one hand, there was an element of familiarity between them from their time training together. However, he also acknowledges that people evolve and their opinions change over time. Even though he respects the abilities of Chimaev, he also notes the awkwardness of Strickland.
Times.
Do you think he believes the things that he's saying about Khamzat, or is just trying to get under his skin? What do you think? You've been around this game. You kind of can tell when someone believes something and when they don't.
You know, I think there was some understanding of how they work together and how it went. But I think people grow, and I think there's definitely some, you know, I don't think he believes everything he says. I think he tries to believe, and it's going to be a tough fight. I'm not going to say like a lot of the other guys think it's going to be easy for Khamzat, but he's got to, you know, relaxation is the key to the game, you know, and he is good on the feet. He's great on the ground. Sean's tricky as hell. He's just weird. He's uncomfortably I don't like watching Sean fight. I don't think a lot of people do, but he's effective in getting up. and his style somehow worked.
On the other hand, Tim Welch points out that Strickland is far from inexperienced. He's been around the UFC system for years, testing himself against elite competition and building a well-rounded record across knockouts, submissions, and decisions. Even with a mixed run recently, his win over Anthony Hernandez showed he's still very much dangerous, shutting down a surging opponent in impressive fashion. But now the challenge steps up dramatically as he faces what Welch calls a freak show champion in Chimaev, a huge physical force still in his prime, far bigger than most expect, and unlike anyone he's dealt with before.
But man strength, Sean Strickland's been training a long time. He's been training with elite people in the UFC for a long time. Sean Strickland has been around. He's got 30 wins, 12 KOs, 4 submissions, 14 decisions, 7 losses. Right now, he's 2-2 in his last 4. Now, his last fight with Anthony Hernandez, that's what we're going to get into here in a bit. February 21st went down. And remember, Fluffy was on a 7-fight win streak in the middleweight division. Sean Strickland TKO'd him in the 3rd round. He's taking on the freak show. He's taking on the absolute freak show, one of the scariest champions alive that there's ever been. I do believe that. Khamzat, 32 years old, in his absolute prime. The guy's huge. I mean, 6'2", he's giant. I don't even know how he even got close to making welterweight in the past. I don't think he even made welterweight.
Moreover, Belal Muhammad breaks it down with a clear path for success for Chimaev, and in his view, it all starts with urgency, no feeling out process, no waiting for rhythm to settle. The idea is simple: push the wrestling early and force immediate defensive reactions from Strickland. He points out how Fluffy allowed the jab-heavy rhythm to build before reacting, while also noting Strickland has shown he can be taken down before, even in moments against DDP and earlier against Usman. But once Chimaev gets the fight to the ground, the message is balance, control the position, hunt the finish, whether it's the choke or damage, but don't burn everything in the first round and leave nothing in reserve if the fight drags deeper.
I'm hoping Chimaev walks through him. I'm hoping Chimaev, the wolf, dominates, which I think he will and I hope he will. But regardless, let's do our breakdown. Keys to victory for Chimaev. You gotta wrestle. You gotta wrestle early, you gotta wrestle fast, you can't wait. Fluffy kind of waited. Strickland get into his rhythm of jabbing, and then adding that cross in, a sneaky little cross. So for Chimaev, I think you shoot in early, we see where he is. We've seen him get taken down by Duplessis, who now we know has terrible wrestling. And we've seen him get taken down by Usman when he was at 170 and dominated on the ground. Your ground game is way better. So when you do take him down, and you're looking to break his jaw with the rear naked choke or grab his neck and break his neck, just be careful. Don't let it all out in the first round. Save a little bit in the tank.
Belal then shifts his focus to how Strickland can stay competitive, even if it's said with a bit of sarcasm and rivalry in the tone. He points to the jab as the key weapon, along with keeping discipline if the fight hits the ground, no giving up the back, no getting trapped against the fence, where Chimaev is strongest at driving and finishing takedowns. He notes that Strickland has to avoid those positions entirely if he wants a chance. Despite the breakdown, his prediction is still clear. He expects a dominant performance from Chimaev and picks him to win.
Arms out. For Strickland, I don't want to give you keys to victory because I don't like you and I hate you. But I'll throw a couple out there just for people to watch and see if it works. Obviously, the jab, what you do, the teep, what you do. If you do get taken down, you can't give up your back. You got to keep his head in front of you, not get pushed to the fence. He's good at driving you to the fence and taking you down. I hope you let him push you to the fence. I hope you let him take you down. I hope you tap right away. My pick, obviously, I'm going with Chimaev. I think it's going to be a dominant performance. And let's go.
However, Michael Chiesa breaks down a split kind of prediction when it comes to the fight, admitting it's not an easy call. His initial read is that Chimaev likely takes the early rounds, especially rounds 1 and 2, before Strickland potentially starts to find his rhythm and work his way back into the fight. But even as he's explaining his own logic, he highlights how divided opinions are around him. While he leans toward Chimaev winning, others around him are convinced it could be more dominant. Still, his final takeaway is that it won't be a clean or easy walkover, and there's a real scenario where Strickland manages to slow things down and even steal a round as the fight progresses.
Now, when it comes to the pick, this is tough. This is really tough because I was talking to Brett Okamoto about this, and he asked for my breakdown on the fight. So I'm giving him the breakdown, and I'm thinking, you know what? I think that it's going to be rounds 1 and 2, is going to be Chimaev, and then Sean's going to fight his way back into it. Meanwhile, my wife's on the other side of the laptop looking at me, shaking her head, and I pause. I'm like, what are you shaking your head about? She's like, Chimaev's going to kill him. And Brett Okamoto could hear it, and he goes, yeah, I agree with your wife. So obviously we're a house conflicted, but I think Chimaev wins. But I just don't think he's going to run over Sean Strickland. I think at some point, even though he's been working with Sam Calvita and doing all these things, I could see a world where Chimaev starts to slow down and Sean at least wins a round. I think Chimaev wins, but I just don't think it's going to come as easy as one.
So who wins this one, Strickland or Chimaev? It's a clash of styles with everything on the line. Early pressure and wrestling versus durability and late fight adjustments. Drop your prediction in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more updates as Fight Night gets closer.